Are we on?
We are.
Wonderful. Hello, folks. Welcome to some storytelling on this beautiful Saturday. I'm glad you could join us. My name is True Thomas the Storyteller, and in honor of the Southern California Scandinavian Festival, which unfortunately, due to the virus, has been canceled, we're having kind of a virtual festival of our own, and we're doing a little bit of traditional storytelling. As you probably know, my name is True Thomas. I'm a traditional storyteller. I make a living talking to people. So that's not been going on so much lately, except online. And so we decided to bring it virtual, and I hope you can all join us. Now, because this is virtual, you're not going to be able to throw tomatoes and popcorn at me from the front seats like you normally do. But I would like to ask you, if you can see this, please, hit one of the little emoticons, everything, and just say, hi, we're here. You could type in questions because we have the lovely cat over here manning the cybers. And you can ask questions because I love questions. This is live stream. It's interactive. So I would love to have you ask questions. If you have questions about Vikings or what have you, I'll do my best. I am by no means an expert on this. There are much better experts out there than me. But I do love telling the traditional myths and legends and the stories of the Vikings. So we're going to be doing that in just a little bit once I get the high sign from my lady. How are you all doing? I have to tell you, it's been an interesting time for me. Essentially from about St. Patrick's Day on, all the group events and performances I was doing were gone. So it's been one of those interesting times of year. I've never been through anything like this before. But you know what? It's interesting because as a traditional storyteller, this would have been a time when they brought the storytellers in close. I'm a member of the Society of Creative Anachronisms, and in the SCA we go out and we have events all over the United States, sometimes 3,000 or 4,000 people. And I went to a war in Estrella, one of the Estrella wars, and everybody was camping, and it turned out to be a complete mud fest, rain from one end to the other. But you know what? As a storyteller, I saw that and I said, these are my people. I need to get out and perform. And so for 4 days straight, every day from about noon all the way until about 2 or 3 in the morning, I went from campfire to campfire to campfire to campfire entertaining. And for me, when everybody was gathered close, it was too rainy to beat the drums or to do much of anything. People poking the roofs with their poles to get the rain off, and the bottles were going around. Gathered by that fire telling stories, I felt like I was fulfilling my mission in life, which was a wonderful thing. I got a chance to tell stories one camp after another, all different kinds of stories. For me, it was incredibly redeeming and everything. Well, we've kind of come to that point again. Maybe it's not raining, but it is virusing out. So, here's a chance for us to gather in our virtual mead hall. I hope everybody here has a hornful of mead or Coca-Cola or what have you for the children, and milk. It does the body good. I hope you're all gathering around in the mead hall. And now I'm going to have to ask you, Lars, I need you to put the axe down. Sven, the spheres go. Inga, if you could just park the dragon ship over there. Excellent. Thank you very much. And then gather into the long hall, and we will gather around, and your humble skald, storyteller, Shanahi Grio Cantador, he will do his very best to tell a tale or two. How are we all doing? Can you hear me? Do I sound good? Can you see me? Am I well lit? Excellent. This is something I'm not used to. I'm used to performing to an audience, and getting their response. And so for me, this is kind of a new experience as well. So any feedback you can give us, much appreciated. And by the way, I just want to mention that we do have a PayPal set up. Kat will be posting it occasionally. If you care to make a donation to support your local storyteller or not so local storyteller, we would really appreciate it because, like I said, all my gigs kind of flew away. The other thing I want to give a shout out to is all my friends. I'm going to be giving a lot of shout outs. I want to say thank you to my friends in Norway. Oh my goodness. I had the honor of performing at North Holst. at Hostfest up in North Dakota, Minot, North Dakota, which unfortunately that festival as well is shut down. But I have a chance to hang out with a whole bunch of mad Norwegians and Swedes and all sorts of Scandinavians, and in particular Sami and the Kven folk up in the Northern Lights exhibit area, and also with all my Viking reenactors there. They're all amazing people, and I'm so going to miss them this year. But a shout out to Stina, one of the best storytellers in Norway. Hi, Stina! And hopefully she has a chance to tune in, and Hege and all the rest of the crowd there. Trina, hi! You don't know what fun is until you get into an argument about lefse. How are we doing on time?
Just give me one moment.
Okay. So, again, please send an emoticon to let us know that you can see us, and type a comment, and welcome, and tusen takk for joining us. 1,000 thanks. And so we're going to talk, we're going to do mainly Viking myths and legends. This morning it's going to be the Apples of Idunn. This evening it's going to be the Lay of Thrym, or what I call Norse gods in drag. And then on Sunday at noon, new show. We haven't even, the Scandinavian Festival asked me to add one more show. I think I'm going to do the stealing of Sif's hair, which is, the gifts, how the gods got all of their magic, or some of their most important magical items. So those are all going to be 3 amazing stories. Well, to me they're amazing. I hope you like them. In any case, are we ready? All right, excellent. Well, success in life, skål. And by the way, they did not drink out of the skulls of their enemies. That's very picturesque. Okay, I take that back. Maybe in one story, in the Wayland Smith story, but that's another story. But in any case, welcome. In case you're just tuning in, True Thomas the Storyteller, and we're going to share some traditional stories. First of all, I want to give a shout out to my buddies Clow and Seth up there with the Solvang trolley. They are one of my sponsors and patrons, so bless you. Thank you for supporting your local storyteller. And then, of course, the Scandinavian Festival in Thousand Oaks. Thank you very much. If we were at the Scandinavian Festival right now, it would be green and lush. They have a little stream. They have a beautiful maypole. You would smell all the amazing food, the Viking dogs and the able skivers and everything all. And, of course, everybody walking around with their morning coffee, which is black as the soul of Hades. And I would be out there underneath the beautiful pepper tree, and behind me would be the Ravens of Odin, who are an amazing reenactment troupe. They're very knowledgeable, and they have more props than anybody should be allowed to have, and they are truly supportive of this humble storyteller. So are we ready to get the story going? Wonderful. Storytelling time, storytelling time. Come and listen to my stories, come and listen to my rhymes. I will tell of the ancient days of our forefathers' time. Storytelling time, storytelling time. Hello, my name is True Thomas. Come and have a sit, and I will tell a tale, and we shall together regale. Let's have a story. Loki and Thor, they were out, wandering the land, because, it's nice to be up there in Asgard and everything, but, you like to get around, visit Midgard a little bit and see places, go around, wander through the 9 realms, Well, they got into an area, maybe kind of close to Jotunheim, maybe not. They were wandering, and with them they had a couple of the other gods, and as they were wandering, they got hungry. They could hear their stomachs grumbling, and they hadn't run into any villages, nothing. It had been quite bleak for some time. And unfortunately, at this particular time, Thor did not have his cart with his magical goats that he could eat and then reassemble the next day. That's a handy trick. And so as they were wandering, what did they hear off in the distance but some aurochs, some big kind of cattle things. off in the distance, and they all smiled because they were hungry, and that was meat. And so they made their way, and they managed to kill one of those orcs, a great big one. And they found one tree, and they brought it over by the tree, and they got a fire going, which, let's admit it, Loki is good with fire. And they dressed that cow in no time. No, they did not put a dress on it. They got it ready for eating. And they got that thing over the fire and the big sides of meat, and the fire was crackling, and they all rubbed their hands together. And then they said, "Why isn't it cooking?" And they poked it, and the fire was going, but it just wasn't cooking. So they put some more wood underneath it, and this time went on and time went on, but the meat wouldn't cook. And they're about ready to eat it raw. And they couldn't figure out what was going on until finally they said, "Ah!" They heard, "Ah! There's something wrong with your fire." Loki looked up, and at the top of the tree was a huge eagle, a giant of an eagle. And the eagle was looking down and said, "I can help you cook that meat if you give me a share." And Loki, who was so hungry, said, yes, we'll give you a share. Can you get this going?" "Certainly." And with that, the eagle swept its mighty wings, and the wind went, and around the fire there was a whirlwind, and the fire brought up around the meat, and pretty soon it was sizzling and smoking, and it was, better than Santa Maria tri-tip. The smell was amazing. Well, the gods got out their knives, and they were getting, because they were hungry, and they were about ready, and when all of a sudden out of the tree came the eagle, flew down and took a good chunk of that whole side of beef. I mean, a good 2/3 of it, and then snapped it off and went back up into the tree and started eating. Loki was angry because he was always hungry. And he looked up and he said, "We offered you a share, not the whole bloody beast. Put the rest of that back." And the eagle went, "You said I could have my share. This is my share." Loki got so angry, he reached down and he grabbed a stick. And just as Thor was about to say, "I wouldn't do that," spook! Loki hit that eagle with the stick. The eagle dropped the side of beef and went, "Hello, Loki." And with that, swept its wings and shot up. Loki, who was holding onto the stick, went, "Wait, what? What?" And he went up after it. He was stuck to the stick with both hands. And as he flew up, the stick was stuck to the tail of the eagle. And the eagle went, "Ah, I was waiting for you to do that, Loki." And they went up and up. And Loki, he tried all his spells. He couldn't get loose. He tried all his runes. He couldn't use any of his magic. And he looked down, and the world was getting smaller and smaller and smaller. He went, "What do you want?" "What do I want? Let's go for a ride, Loki." And the eagle dove, Loki hanging on behind, right across the top of some mountains. Until finally Loki went, "Stop, stop." He said, "Oh, look, pine trees." Right through the pine trees. Oh my goodness, it was terrible. And then he said, "Oh, look, Loki, I found some thistle bushes. Are those thistles?" "Oh, blackberries and raspberries." Right through everything that had thorns and bangs and bruises. Poor Loki, he was getting smacked up until finally the eagle went and flew straight up, high as high could be. The sky was turning from blue to azure to black, so high up. And the eagle said, "You will give me what I want." And Loki said, "What do you want?" "I want your true name." Now, in case you don't know, a true name is your magical name. It's something that gives power over you. And Loki said, "Never! Goodbye, Loki." And with that, Loki started to fall. Can you all join me with this? Here we go. Ah! air brake. Loki said, okay, I'll give it to you. The eagle grabbed him and landed him on the ground. The eagle was no longer an eagle, but a huge Jotun, a giant of a giant named Throssi. And the giant looked down and said, hello, Loki. Give me your true name. And Loki said, I don't know why the Vikings were speaking Welsh. Let's just go with it. At which point, the giant said, right, now, I have your true name. I have something I want you to do for me. And Loki said, what? I want you to give me Idunn and the apples of youth, the apples of immortality. And Loki said, you're mad if you think I'm going to do that. Without those apples, all the gods will get old and die. They would kill me if they found out I had anything to do with that. Are you not Loki, the mischievous one, the one who is always goofy-doing, who is always trickifying? Well, yes. Did you not steal the hair off of Sif's head? Yes. Are your children not Fenrir and Jorgenmandr and Hel down there in Hell? When did you stop being wicked, Loki? And Loki went, well, not recently anyway. Good. I want you to steal Idunn for me. I want you to steal Idunn and the apples of youth. And Loki said, fine. After that, you forget my true name. At which point the giant said, agreed. I'll see you later. And with that, the great eagle flew away, and Loki made his way back to the camp. And of course, all the gods had finished off most of the meat, but Loki wasn't hungry at that point. Time passed. They all made it back to Asgard, having a good time. And everybody just thought that Loki had had another one of his adventures, as he often does. All right, everybody pick up your mead horn. Skål.
Skål!
So, Loki was back in Asgard, and he just happened to be wandering by the great hall where Bragi, the god of poetry and music, and, of course, Idunn, the goddess of the apples, lived. And he just happened to be wandering by one day, and Idunn was in there tending to her magical apple tree where the apples were hanging, and they were beautiful and gorgeous, and the smell and the aroma, because the tree was always giving fruit and always in flower all at the same time. And he wandered by, and Idunn spotted him and said, hello, Loki. Hello, Idunn. How are you doing? How is your apple tree? Oh, just fine. Oh, the apples, we're going to have another fine batch in the morning. He said, oh, wonderful. I love your apples. He said, you know, the other day I ran into another magical apple tree, and I have to tell you, those apples, you know, I have to tell you, they give I think yours give a good run for against them. I mean, those apples were a little crunchier, a little more tart. And she went, excuse me? Oh, yeah. Another magical apple tree not too far outside the gates. And she looked at him and she said, are you telling me there's another magical apple tree out there? Oh, yeah. And those apples were amazing. Oh, you have to try one. She said, yes, I have to try one. This is the only magical apple tree that I know of. I'm the goddess of magical apple trees. I have to take care of those trees. If there's another magical apple tree out there, I need to be there. I need to see it. He said, yeah. Oh, no problem. Do you want to go tomorrow? Can I get an apple? And she said, oh, certainly. And she handed him one of those apples. And, oh, yeah. The juice was running down his face. And he could feel the energy flowing through him. Yeah, those other apples, maybe a little more magical, a little tartar. Oh, but yours are so good. And she said, please, tomorrow, will you take me? And he said, of course. I'll be by tomorrow. Bring a few apples. She said, of course. So we could compare. Of course. The next morning, Loki showed up. And there was Idunn all ready for a little trip. She had a basket full of apples, and they headed out of Asgard. And as they left, Loki looked around to make certain nobody was paying attention. And he cast some runes of mystification, of obliviation, to make certain that the watcher at the gate couldn't follow him or track him, and none of the trackers and the hunters could follow him. They headed out the gates of Asgard and into the woods, and they marched and they walked and they walked and they walked. And they walked and they walked and they walked. Are you tired of walking yet? No? And they walked and they walked and they walked. And they walked and they walked and they walked. And finally she said, Loki, where is this apple tree? And he went, oh, the apple tree, right. It's right up here in this clearing. And they moved into the clearing, and she looked around, and all she saw was grass and a few trees and everything. And he said, I'm sorry about this, Idunn. She said, are you going to tell me there is no apple tree? Are you playing tricks on me? Well, yes, I am playing tricks on you. And no, there is no apple tree. However, did you see that giant eagle? And just then, a huge giant eagle landed in the clearing and turned into Throssi the giant. And Throssi the giant looked down and he said, hello, Idunn. I am taking you back to Jotunheim. You will be part of my household now. You will be with my daughter, and hopefully you will raise your apple trees for me and come to love me. I will not treat you badly. And with that, he cast a spell, and poor Idunn was turned into an acorn. He turned into an eagle and flew away, taking the basket with them, of course. And Loki just looked around and went and wandered off. Well, in Asgard, in the Great Hall, in the mornings when people got together, they all looked forward to that first horn of mead. Mead, it does a body good. And they would look forward to that first horn of mead, and they would look forward to having the beautiful and sweet Idunn come in with her basket of apples and handing an apple out. But she didn't show, which was odd. I mean, even gods have their off days and everything, so they didn't think much of it. But then a week went by, and another week went by. Odin's eye, his beautiful piercing eye, started to lose its glimmer. Thor's beard started to turn white with a few bits of red in it. Beautiful Freya, she got a wrinkle, which is hard for a goddess of beauty and love and war, which all the gods were getting older and older, and as they started getting older, they started to get more decrepit. And I have to tell you, Asgardian gods using a walker is never a good thing. And the gods got together and they got closer, and finally they said, all right, find Loki, because he's usually, if you look at the Venn diagram, it's usually Loki. Anyway, and it just so happened Thor was pretty good at catching Loki, and so at one point Loki was going by, Thor grabbed him. Hello, Loki. Ah, Thor, how are you doing? I love the white in the beard. It's very nice, very becoming. Loki, what have you done with Idunn? What have I done with Idunn? That'd make a good song. Done with Idunn. What have you done with Idunn? I haven't done anything. Loki, do you see this hammer? Yes. I'm going to start smashing your toes, and then I'm going to work on your knees, and then I'm going to work my way up your body. I'm guessing I can turn you into a fine paste in, 5 or 6 minutes, if I take my time. And Loki went, wait. And Odin said, go ahead, give him a whack. He said, no, wait. You remember the thing with the beef and the that was a giant, a powerful magical giant, and he forced me to give him my true name, and then he made me give him Idunn. What? All the gods looked at each other and said, Loki, we will die if you, and we're not talking Ragnarok, we will die if you do not get those apples back. And Loki went, right, I'll do it. Freya, I'm going to have to borrow your beautiful falcon cloak. And so she said, fine, but I want those apples back, and I want Idunn back right away. If you harm that cloak, you'll deal with me. He said, fine. He put it on. He said, I make this look good. And he flew. He flew through all the realms, through the high heavens, through Svartalfheim, through Niflheim. He flew through all the realms till finally he came to Jotunheim. And as he flew through Jotunheim, he saw a beautiful castle made of ice with sculptures in the front. And he saw one tiny light in one window, and he said, aha. As a falcon, he flew in through that window, and there he saw poor Idunn in the cold, with her hands over one tiny apple tree that did not look like it was doing very well. And he landed and he went, ah! Hey, hi Idunn, it's me, Loki. And she went, Loki, why did you do this to me? What did I ever do to you? He said, hey, you can blame me or we can get out of here. What do you want? Let's get out of here. He said, fine. He turned back into his normal, stylish self, reached over, and he said, grab the basket. She looked inside. There was only one apple left. But she grabbed the basket, and he touched her, and she turned back into an acorn. He grabbed that acorn, turned back into a falcon, and started to fly. He flew out that window, but as he flew out the window, one feather touched the side of the window just as the daughter was coming in, and the window had a spell on it, and the window started to go, thief, 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 thief. Now down in the ice garden, who should be there but Throssey? And Throssey looked up and he heard the alarm and he said, oh no you don't. And with that, he turned into a huge giant eagle, and that falcon flew. It flew all the way back to Asgard, and right after it was a giant eagle. Now I have some news for you. Falcons can fly fast, but giant eagles can fly faster. And as fast as Loki flew, his little wings flying, that eagle was gaining on him. Now meanwhile, back in Asgard, near the Great Wall, there were the gods, and Loki and Odin looked up and he said, I think we need to build a fire. And so the gods started to get together, kindling, and they started to make a great big fire. If Odin says to do something, it's generally a good idea. At which point, Loki, looking down with the giant eagle right on his tail, literally, he said, fire! And he flew straight toward it. Little known fact, Loki is immune to fire. Maybe it's because he's a redhead. Who knows? He flew toward that fire in his little falcon wings, so he flew, but that eagle was not letting go. Throssey wanted Idunn back, and he flew fast and hard. And giant eagles do not slow down well. He flew through the fire. Little known fact, giants from Jotunheim, especially ice giants and storm giants, are not fireproof. And when he hit that fire, his spell of shape-shifting broke. He got burned. And there, laying on the ground, was a huge giant in Asgard. And all the old gods were looking, and they started to get their swords and spears and everything together to deal with the giant. But Loki landed and created Idunn. Idunn showed back up, and she turned and she looked around and she saw the giant. And she reached into her basket and she took that apple and she threw it to Thor. And Thor grabbed that beautiful, delicious apple and went, and his beard filled with electricity. It bristled up big and bushy. His muscles came back to life. His eyes, his skin lost its wrinkles. He became the mighty and powerful thunderer. And he turned and he called for Mjolnir, or as we call it, Mew Mew. He called for that hammer and he went, aw, you brought me a giant. Thank you guys. No, really, you shouldn't have. Thor, just then he went, my favorite game, Whack-A-Giant. Can you guys all make the sound of an exploding giant with me? Boom! And that was the end of the giant named Throssey. All the gods were very happy to see the beautiful Idunn. And the next morning they hobbled in to the great hall. And in came Idunn with her basket of beautiful apples. And she handed them out one by one to all the gods, just as I hand this apple to you. Go ahead, take it. All right, this apple is full of youth and health. Everybody eat your apples. Oh, Oh my goodness. Congratulations. You all have the youth of the gods. And that was a traditional story called The Apples of Idunn. And it was originally from a great epic called the Prose Edda. And you have just experienced a traditional story just as your ancestors did many, many hundreds and hundreds of years ago in your mead hall, holding your horns and listening to the storyteller. So thank you very much for the story. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd like to give a couple of shout outs if I could. First of all, if you are interested in Norse mythology, 2 books I would heartily recommend. The Master Storyteller, Neil Gaiman. If you have not heard his Norse myths, especially his audio, he is an amazing storyteller, fantastic. So if you get a chance, check out Norse mythology by Neil Gaiman. Another person I'd like to recommend, this is the book that got me started as a storyteller, that and the Greek myths. Why is it wet? That's really odd.
You jostled.
Oh, jeez. Anyway, sorry about that. D.L. Lair's Book of Norse Myths. This is a fantastic book, one of the best, fantastic for children. Check it out. All right, now let's see, what else? Oh, I want to give a couple of quick shout-outs. First of all, a shout-out to Tanya. I want to say thank you so much for coming to the events with us. And, of course, the Ravens of Odin. If you're all, some other resources for you to check out, I'll try to post some links later. Dr. Jackson Crawford. His Old Norse channel on YouTube. Fantastic. Check it out. Another great resource is the Viking Answer Lady, Christine Ward Gnora. Check out vikinganswerlady.com. Fantastic resource. If you get a chance, please come to the Scandinavian Festival next year at Cal Luthern University. It's this time every year. We're going to have an amazing time. It's a beautiful, beautiful location. Come and join us. We are not having Norse Host Fest this year, but we will be doing it next year. And that is the biggest Scandinavian festival in North America, and it is fantastic. And there are a bunch of crazy, mad Vikings and Sami and Kven and Norse and Swedes. Oh my goodness, it's a blast. And then a shout out to the Solvang Trolley Ice Cream Parlor. Thank you very much again for supporting me. And a shout out, a huzzah to all my friends in the SCA who are, by the way, full of amazing and wonderful people there who are who actually fight as Vikings, who actually have Viking encampments, among others. They represent a great many cultures, and there's a wonderful world of knowledge there. And then I want to tell you about the shows. We're going to have another show here at 7 o'clock, the second show, and then we're going to have a third show tomorrow, Sunday, at noon. So, oh, and one last thing. 2 last things. The Vikings did not wear these goofy helmets, okay? First of all, they weren't big on helmets, and second of all, you wouldn't go into battle with horns on your helmet. Stabby, stabby. Not really bright. Great place for an axe to land. So, just so you know, this is more of a Wagnerian opera thing, not an actual Viking thing. They just thought horns looked cool, and they kind of do. All right? So, this is True Thomas the Storyteller signing off. I'm going to hold this up, and you're all going to take a look at it, and then you're going to come join me for my next story at 7 o'clock. Welcome to a moon-filled night of strange and wondrous tales of ancient kings and mystic rings and ships with painted sails. Hey, I hope you had a good time. Please leave a note. Talk to you soon. Ho, ho, ho.